Here we go. Let's do this.
We've got one life, one shot. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? Addicted to Betterment, a podcast to inspire us to keep going, to try something new, to dream, to think big, bigger, to overcome. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
So we answered the question, who am I? That was a powerful exercise for me when I read through that. And I just gave you the cliff notes of what I have. But for me, the power in just simply pausing and taking 5 minutes of quiet time and just saying, who am I? And as you put it, I am blank. I found that to be a powerful exercise. And I would encourage all my friends to try that and just actually spend time in that to really dive into that is very helpful. So the next question is, what is my compelling why?
This is really a critical one. It's got to come from within. And that's where you really get to that question. What do you really want to accomplish? An objective. Now, notice the way that we approach that in our coaching time together, because a coaching agreement has to go more than one session. So we want to know a long range as well as short range. But here you start with a short range by saying, we've got this time together, Dave. What is the best way that we can approach it? What's on your mind? How can we accomplish what you want to get done today? Now, the reason for doing that is very evident, because if I don't get to your reason and I go to my reasons for us being up, you're not going to be satisfied. So we get to the nitty gritty of the accomplishment. So I asked that very early on that specific coaching conversation. How would you like to spend this time together today? What do you want to accomplish?
Yeah, that's good. And my easy answer is being better in every area of my life. The title to our podcast is called Addicted to Betterment. And the reason that we created that title was simply because both Nikki and I feel just that, addicted to betterment. Now, in some areas of our life, we have a lot more work to do for betterment than others. And we recognize that, and the consistent commitment to growth and getting better. As a holistic person, we talk a lot about the life wheel. And Tommy, I know you are a massive believer and proponent of the life wheel, but one's not separate from the other. They are all intertwined. When one is out of whack, the whole wheel is bumpy. When we're working on every area holistically. So for me, the coaching is just that. Let's figure out ways to get better in every area of the life wheel.
That is a great answer for me there, is that you're looking at the holistic approach. And the big word that jumps out in my mind is growth. How can I grow and be better? Realizing that there's some areas, which I really believe in, that I know that are stronger than others. And how do I look at those and say, how can I make the strength stronger and the shortcomings better? And as a coach, as we work together going forward, we'll dig deep into those that you need. What are you doing that gives you that strength in that area? Let's do more of it. And then what are those areas in this growth wheel that I need some help in? Let's take the one that's most important to you right now in our coaching conversation. Let's build and see how we can raise that bar in that area. Well, I'm a proponent believer. I've got a band on my wrist. And the word that I use here is the word Kaizen, Kaizen, which is 1 Thessalonians, if you look it up, 4:10, which simply says, excel still more, consistent and ever increasing performance, getting better. So we look at the good and say, how can we become better? How can we excel still more? That's a strength. And then how do we take those things and make them stronger? So we go from what I like to say, from average to good to excelling by becoming a master in that area.
I've had a front row seat and witness to you emotionally talking about still getting better and still growing more. And every single time, Tommy, it moves me. It inspires me on a level that's even hard to describe. But I want to know, what is it in you that drives you at your age to still grow and still get better?
I think it comes from the concept that I still have more. Although I'm 86 years young, I could still grow. We really know a lot of time when we retire, we go downhill. We quit doing things. This happens to us. So I'm not going to let that happen. I want to go and continue to grow. If I reach 110, I want to be growing at 109 and 99 minutes left in my life.
That's great. It always blows me away. I know you're a champion Toastmaster, you're a champion weightlifter, you're recognized in so many areas and levels of coaching and performance. And most people, maybe myself included, would have been like, I've done it, I've accomplished it. And I have never got the sense of that from you. As a matter of fact, for people who don't know Tommy and can't see him, Tommy is 86 and is one of the most fit people that I know. Tommy is just an exceptional being and staying committed to growth. And I remember us sitting in Newport Beach, California. You and your wife, Kathy, were talking about this conference that you had just went through. It was a Tony Robbins thing, I believe. And you were so enthusiastic about the things that you were doing daily, you had taken from that conference, and you were so fired up how it was impacting you. And I'm sitting there blown away. This guy is so committed to getting better. And that is, I want to say, one of the things that helps you impact and inspire people like me. It often inspires me to work harder, try to achieve more, try to be better. And so thank you for the impact that you make. It's so inspirational.
There's a concept that I've been reading continuously and seeing more of. There are a couple of coaches, most of them sports psychologists, that follow the concept of a one more. Means that when I get in the weight room, for example, I may start with 10 reps, but I can do one more. And I taught this my salespeople with State Farm when I was a sales manager. One more call, one more thing that I can stretch myself, because I truly believe in the building to excellence. I said to become excellent, number one, you have to have a goal. Nobody gets there without a direction, right? They have to have a target. The second thing is growth stands for take a risk. We know one of the things that I love, and you and I, as we work together, we'll get into a concept that I've done a lot of depth of study on, is called how do I get into the zone and the flow, which is the ideal performance state. My challenge is greater than my abilities. It may be only 1%, but I can be better if I challenge myself. Whether you're in the business world, speaking, athletics makes no difference. How do I get there? If I have an ideal performance state, my production is ideal, the people that I impact is ideal, and it makes everything happen. Flow, FLOW, and impact.
That's incredible. It's inspiring. So the next question that you asked me was, what are my strengths and what are my opportunities for growth? How important is it for someone like me to truly understand their strengths and truly understand their opportunities for growth?
I think that gets back to what I want to accomplish. And one of the things that we'll go deeper into there is, what's my compelling why? Why do I want to do that? Because if I, for example, say in an early time, I wanted to be a master powerlifter. So when we get to the compelling why I'm doing, then we can say, okay, in my self-assessment, what are those strengths that can help me get to that why? What are those strengths that I have that will help me to reach that compelling why, that sense of purpose and mission that I have that I want to accomplish? Because a lot of people do not give them credit for their strengths. Well, everybody can do that. No, everybody can't do that. From a leadership role, working with employees, I tried to find in my managers and leaders, what is their strengths? Now use that strength. You'll use that in your business world, use it in personal life. Don't just let them sit there, because they'll deteriorate, they'll atrophy, right? So I think it's good, particularly as you work with someone, to know their strengths so that you can help them build on those and receive credit for them. You don't do that alone. Somebody's helped you with that strength. So that strength is one of the areas that you want to start. Notice I always start with the positives. I don't start with the opportunity to grow. Let's get Coach David on this. What do you see as your strengths to help you reach this compelling why that we talked about up here? What do you see that as a strength that you have working with yourself and individuals, of course?
Yeah, I would say I have grit, I have determination. I'm consistently committed to growing as a human being. I have drive to be exceptional in every area of my life. I love people. I would say a strength is I love to be a part of a team. I love to see a team win. I love to see more than an individual succeed. And I love the camaraderie, the commitment to having each other's back that it takes to see a team win. I love the feeling of not letting my team down and knowing that they're feeling the same for me. I love to contribute to a cause. I love to be a part of a cause that I feel like is bigger than myself. I love to contribute to others' success. Those are my strengths that I carry with me.
I've seen those in you and I've seen those areas. So my challenge as your coach is to help you to bring those out. How can I use my strengths to impact those the closest around me? My kids, my family. How can I impact those? And how can I impact that next layer? So the key in a coaching or a relationship that we have, I want to help you to use those strengths in a greater way. So not only are you growing, but you're helping those around you to grow. That's the importance of the strengths and bringing them out.
That's good. It's funny. Later in this discovery that you sent me, I had to fill out what my life's mission and life's purpose and that sort of thing. I'm just passionate about making impact. That's what I feel like my mission and my purpose is. And for me, and you just said it, I believe strongly that our impact starts at the people closest to us. A lot of people get caught up in, I want to make big impact and I want to do big things. And completely forgetting that the people closest to us are the ones we're impacting the most, the ones we have the easiest ability to impact either positively or negatively. And so for me, it's like if we can start in our sphere of influence, if I can start with my wife, my kids, if I can start with the people that I work with every single day, my brother, my sister, my family, if I'm impacting them, here's the reality. We are making impact whether it's our life's mission and purpose or not. Are we being intentional about that impact and trying to make sure that it's positive? That's where, for me, I understand as a father, as a husband, as a leader, as someone that is relentlessly pursues being a high performer consistently. If I'm not impacting the people closest to me and directly around me, I'm wasting my time trying to impact people at a much bigger level. You have to start with what's closest to you.
You're leaving a legacy with the people you're involved. It's a living legacy. It's not a dead legacy. By the concept I like with the impact, I am making a difference in someone today. I am impacted by making a positive, uplifting difference. But did you lift them up? Did you make a difference in their day? It is a habit. By looking for the good and building on it as we go through our day, we're making a difference in somebody's life. And one of the things at night, a good thing that we do is we close the night out, putting the book in at the end of the day. Who did I make a difference to today? And like you say, it starts the closest to me, right? And it builds out in that process. That's the critical aspect of a coach, helping the coachee to recognize their strengths and to take those and to build on so that they can impact, make a difference to those around them with the strengths that they have.
That's really good. So, Tommy, one of the questions that you asked me is, what are your opportunities for growth? What are your core values? I have a question as we start near the end of today. How important and why is it for me to really understand, identify, and be committed to my core values?
Core values is a part of the fundamental process in coaching that we develop on. It starts with the foundation. You build a house with the right foundation. If you don't, it's going to be washed away. The concept that we'll go through in building this foundation, it starts with my value system. What's the most important things to me? Have I thought through those? When I teach this in a workshop, I say you should be able to sit up in your bed in the middle of the night and say, here's my core values: my faith, my family, my friends. You should have those embodied in you, that you know that there's more opportunity there for you to grow if any of those 4 or 5 core things that you have in your life are not where they ought to be. If I'm not spending time with my family, I need to realize that my values become a filter. And if it's not a part of my faith, I ain't going to do it. If it's going to in any way negatively affect my family, I ain't going to do it. If it's not going to touch in a very positive way my friends, I ain't going to do it. And then certainly the last one that we talk about there, how is it going to affect me long term with the legacy that I leave with the people around me? So the core values is something we'll dig in deep on, because you need to be very clear. And we've talked somewhat in the past. I think I know what your core values. You want to share those with us at this time as we're on this one?
Yeah, I would say mine are similar to yours. Definitely my faith and family and friends and fitness, my career success as a core value. Fun, has to be part of my life. It's a core value. If I'm going to go to the grocery store and get cereal and bananas and milk and Coke, I got to make it fun. If I'm at work and we're tackling big problems, I can't do it unless it's fun. So fun is a core value of mine. How would you coach me on trying to identify what those core values are? If I don't know what they are, I've never done this exercise before. You just told me that I should be able to sit up in bed in the middle of the night and rattle those off. And for me, when I sit up in bed in the middle of the night, I'm trying to remember if we have brown sugar and cinnamon Pop-Tarts or strawberry in the cabinet is usually what I'm trying to think of. But I'm thinking most of my friends probably don't know what their core values are. If you were coaching them on really identifying what those core values are, how would you coach them on that?
There's a couple of exercises that you would take an individual. Basically, I want to go back to the concept, your core values are the most important things to you. And I'd ask the question in your life, what would be the most important thing you'd hate to give up? From a strong faith basis, somebody said, my faith is number one. I wouldn't want to give that up. Then I say, well, how do you reconcile that with your family? Or some will say, my work, that's my core. That will lead you to seeing what's really important. Now, here's the second exercise. I'll put you at your own funeral. You're standing up there and they're talking about you. You're watching, you're overviewing that. What would you want to be said about David? What would you want Nikki to say? What would you want your other family to say? What would you want your kids to say? And then you ask yourself, this is what they see in me. This is my legacy. Am I living up to these values that I am hopefully instilled, made that difference in people in my life? It really opens your mind up. Stephen Covey, he went to his own funeral one time and he was sitting out in the audience. His family got up and then his pastor got up and then his kids got up and everybody spoke about him. Powerful stuff. And that's a starting place. And we will go deeper into what's my purpose? What's my mission? What's my vision? What is my goals and objectives and macro and micro goals, action plans? All of that builds into the foundation for you to be as good as you can be and utilize that potential that you have. So that's the reason we get to these questions early that helps the coach be able to work with the coachee to help them to see where their strengths, strengthen them, see where their shortcomings, make them stronger, and help them to reach the goals that the coachee wants to reach.
I have one final question. Are you ready for this challenge?
I look forward to a challenge. Here's the reason. I know David well enough that you got so much more in you that we can build that potential to a higher level to give you to be all that you need to be, that God created you.
That's great. Tommy, thank you so much.
And by the way, the coach has to believe in the coachee.
That's right.
Tommy just said something I hope we can all grab on to. We, me, you, all of us, we have more left in us. Wherever you find yourself right now on life's journey, I'm fully convinced that you have more left in you. So let's recap some action steps from these golden nuggets of wisdom that Tommy dropped on us today. Number one, what is your compelling why? What is it that truly fires you up, that you're authentically passionate about? Write it down. Number two, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Have you ever spent time really understanding what your strengths are? You have them. Write them down. Number three, what are your core values? Do you have clarity on what your core values are? Tommy gave us some really helpful tips on getting very clear on what our core values are. Write those down. Number four, how are you making impact today? More importantly, how are you impacting those closest to you? Give it some thought. Let's be intentional about the impact we're making today. Friends, I'm hopeful the wise words of Coach Tommy help you as much as they're helping me. Be addicted to betterment. So, you just listened to this episode. Now, join us in being addicted to betterment. Please subscribe to the show, share with your friends, tag us, and please take a moment, leave a review. Yeah, we do want your stars, but we really want the feedback.